Have you ever like stopped and thought, maybe there's more to intelligence than we usually talk about? I
Yeah.
mean, beyond like book smarts, and street smarts, is there another kind of intelligence that helps us connect with something bigger and find deeper meaning?
Yeah, you're touching on something that researchers have actually been exploring, and they call it spiritual intelligence or SQ.
SQ.
SQ, yeah, and it's not about religion or anything like that, but it's more about this capacity that we all have as humans to look for purpose and meaning in our lives.
Okay, I got to admit, when I first heard about spiritual intelligence, I was a little skeptical.
Right.
Like I thought it might be a bit too, out there.
Yeah.
But the more I read about it, the more curious I became.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
It's like this whole other dimension of intelligence that we often just don't even think about.
And you know what makes it even more interesting is that it's not just like one thing. It's like a bunch of different qualities and abilities all kind of woven together.
Okay.
Researchers have identified 10 dimensions of CQ.
10 dimensions.
Yeah, each with its own unique role.
Okay, this is where I need your help.
Sure.
10 dimensions. That sounds a little overwhelming.
It's a lot to unpack.
Where do we even begin to understand all of that?
Well, a good place to start is with self-awareness,
Okay.
which is really the foundation of spiritual intelligence.
Okay.
But it's not just, knowing your strengths and weaknesses like we usually think of.
Right.
It's more about being able to step back and observe your thoughts and your emotions without letting them control you. It's about connecting with that authentic self within you.
So it's kind of like hitting the pause button when you're having a strong reaction to something.
Exactly.
And making a conscious choice about how you respond instead of just reacting automatically.
Yeah, like picture yourself stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
This is something I think we can all relate to.
Yeah.
And instead of letting that anger or frustration take over, you take a deep breath. You choose to center yourself. That's self-awareness in action right there.
Okay.
A core aspect of SQ.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
When you put it that way, it doesn't sound so out there anymore.
Right.
It actually sounds really practical and empowering.
It is.
Okay. So that's self-awareness. What's the next dimension we should explore?
Let's talk about transcendence.
Transcendence. Okay.
Think about those moments, those aha moments, when you feel this sense of connection to something much bigger than yourself.
I think I get what you mean.
It could be anything, witnessing a breathtaking sunset, or being moved by a powerful piece of music, or even having a conversation that completely shifts your perspective.
I totally get that. I remember this one time I was hiking with a friend, and we reached the top of this mountain, and the view was just incredible.
Wow.
And we just stood there for a while in silence, taking it all in. And it was like in that moment, all my worries just disappeared. And I felt this incredible sense of peace and connected to everything around me.
Those moments, they're powerful, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
They remind us that there's more to life than just our everyday worries. They help us tap into a sense of awe, wonder, and mystery that connects us to something greater than ourselves.
Okay, so we've got self-awareness, the ability to observe ourselves, and transcendence, where we connect with something bigger. What comes next in this exploration of spiritual intelligence?
Next up is meaning-making.
Meaning-making.
And this is about our deep need as humans to find purpose and significance in our lives, even when we're going through challenges and difficulties. Viktor Frankl, who was a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, he said,
I've heard of them.
Man's search for meaning is the primary motivation in his life.
Wow, that's a powerful statement.
It is.
So it's not just about, being happy all the time. It's about finding deeper meaning even in our struggle.
Exactly. It's about crafting a narrative that weaves all our experiences together and finding a purpose that goes beyond just, material things or fleeting pleasures.
So like someone who takes a personal tragedy and channels that experience into helping others who have gone through something similar.
Yes, exactly. That's a great example of meaning-making in action.
Driven by a strong sense of spiritual intelligence.
That's really making me think about how we all have the potential to find meaning, even in the toughest of times.
We do.
It's like turning pain into purpose.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Okay, so we've got self-awareness, transcendence, this idea of creating meaning. What's the fourth dimension of spiritual intelligence?
The fourth dimension is all about compassion and altruism.
Okay, compassion and altruism.
And this is more than just feeling sorry for someone. It's about being moved to actually take action and help. It's about recognizing the suffering of others and genuinely wanting to alleviate it.
I can see how this connects with the meaning-making we were just talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like taking that understanding of our own purpose and using it to make a positive impact on the world.
Exactly. It's not about seeking recognition or reward, but rather about feeling a deep sense of interconnectedness that compels you to act.
It sounds like spiritual intelligence is less about sitting on a mountaintop meditating and more about actively engaging with the world around us. That's a great observation. These first 4 dimensions really highlight how intertwined our inner world and our outer actions are when it comes to C-SKU.
This is all so fascinating. Okay, I'm ready for dimension number 5. What's next on our list?
Number 5 is ethical sensitivity.
Ethical sensitivity.
That inner compass that guides our decisions even when nobody's watching.
You know, thinking about these dimensions, it seems like they're all connected in some way.
They are.
Like this ethical sensitivity is closely tied to self-awareness. The more we understand ourselves, the better equipped we are to make choices that align with our values.
That's a great insight, and it's this ability to tap into that inner compass that helps us navigate those really tricky choices, those moral gray areas where the right path isn't always clear.
I can definitely relate to that. Those choices can be tough.
They can be.
Okay, so we've covered 5 dimensions of spiritual intelligence so far. What's the 6th one we're diving into?
The 6th dimension is intuition and insight.
Intuition.
Okay. It's about trusting that inner knowing, those times when we just know something, not through logic or reason, but through a deeper understanding.
Oh, I love this one. It's like that gut feeling that turns out to be right, even if you can't explain why you felt that way.
Exactly. It's a powerful form of intelligence that we often dismiss or ignore. But spiritual intelligence helps us recognize and value those intuitive insights.
I think we've all had those experiences where we ignore our intuition, and then later we're like, I should have listened to my gut.
Right. It's like there's this little voice inside trying to guide us, but we don't always tune in.
Exactly.
That's why practices like meditation and mindfulness can be so valuable.
Okay.
They help us quiet the noise of our thoughts and create space for those intuitive whispers to emerge.
So it's like training ourselves to pay attention to that inner wisdom and trust what it's telling us.
Exactly.
It's making me want to dust off my meditation cushion. Okay, we're on a roll here. What's the 7th dimension of spiritual intelligence?
The 7th dimension is resilience and equanimity.
Resilience and equanimity.
It's about bouncing back from setbacks, staying calm in the storm, and maintaining that inner peace amidst all of life's inevitable challenges.
You know, to me, this dimension is all about having that unshakable inner core that helps us navigate the ups and downs of life. Like a surfer riding a wave. We can't control the ocean, but we can learn to ride those waves with grace and skill.
That's a perfect analogy. It's not about being emotionless or suppressing our feelings, but about cultivating that sense of inner stability that allows us to experience the full range of human emotions without being overwhelmed by them. You know, think of someone who can handle a crisis without falling apart because they have this deep well of inner peace to draw on.
It's like they have this inner strength that allows them to weather any storm.
Exactly.
This is really starting to paint a picture of what a spiritually intelligent person looks like.
Yeah.
So what's next on our list?
Dimension number 8 is holistic thinking.
Holistic thinking.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things, seeing the bigger picture and understanding how everything is related.
So it's like seeing the forest for the trees, understanding how each individual tree plays a role in the larger ecosystem.
Exactly. Holistic thinking helps us move beyond that limited, egocentric perspective to a more expansive, world-centric view. It's about understanding that our actions have ripple effects and that we're all part of a larger web of life.
This really makes me think about how my choices impact not just myself, but the people around me and the planet as a whole. You know, like that saying we're all connected.
We are.
Spiritual intelligence allows us to not just understand that intellectually, but to really feel that connection.
And that realization can be profoundly transformative.
Yeah, okay.
It can shift our values, our priorities, and ultimately our actions in the world.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of our list.
We are.
What are the last 2 dimensions of spiritual intelligence we need to cover?
The 9th dimension is gratitude and appreciation.
Gratitude.
It's about finding joy in the everyday, cultivating a sense of abundance even when things are tough.
You know, this one really resonates with me. I've always been a big believer in the power of gratitude. It's like shifting your focus from what you lack to what you have. And it can totally change your perspective.
It's so true. It's about appreciating the simple things in life and finding joy in the present moment.
It's like choosing to see the glass half full instead of half empty.
You're right.
Spiritual intelligence helps us cultivate that attitude of gratitude, which in turn invites more joy and abundance into our lives.
Yeah.
Okay, we've reached the final dimension of spiritual intelligence.
We have.
Drum roll, please.
All right.
What is it?
The 10th and final dimension is mystery and wonder.
Mystery and wonder.
It's about being okay with not having all the answers. Embracing the unknown with curiosity and awe.
So it's like being comfortable with the unknown, embracing the mystery of life.
Yes.
It sounds like we've come full circle.
We have.
We started with self-awareness, understanding ourselves, and now we're ending with embracing the mysteries that lie beyond ourselves.
Exactly. It's about approaching life with that sense of childlike wonder and curiosity. It's realizing that we don't have all the answers, and that's okay.
Right.
In fact, it's often in that space of not knowing that true growth and discovery happen.
I love that it's so easy to get caught up in trying to control everything and have all the answers.
Right.
But that can really limit our experiences.
It can.
Embracing the unknown opens us up to so many new possibilities and adventures.
It's about shifting from a need for certainty to a sense of openness and possibility. It's about acknowledging that life is full of mysteries, and that's what makes it so magical.
Wow, we've covered all 10 dimensions of spiritual intelligence. That was quite a journey. I'm feeling inspired and maybe a little overwhelmed, to be honest.
That's a lot to take in.
It's like a whole new world has opened up to me.
It is.
But all this talk about these dimensions, it's making me wonder how they actually show up in our day-to-day lives. How can we cultivate spiritual intelligence in practical ways?
That's a great question, and one that we'll explore in more depth in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
For now, just let these ideas simmer.
Okay.
Reflect on which dimensions resonate most with you and what small steps you might take to nurture your own spiritual intelligence.
Sounds good.
So, you don't have to go off and live in an ashram or something to develop your spiritual intelligence.
Right.
Even just incorporating some small practices into your daily life can make a really big difference.
Okay.
One that comes to mind is mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking meditation, things like that.
Exactly.
I have to admit, I've tried meditation before, but I always feel like my mind is racing a million miles a minute.
Yeah.
It's so hard for me to quiet those thoughts.
I hear you. Meditation can definitely be a challenge, especially when you're first starting out.
Right.
But the key is to not judge yourself for having those thoughts,
Right.
It's more about just noticing them and then gently guiding your attention back to your breath or a mantra or whatever your focus might be.
Okay, so it's not about emptying your mind completely.
Right.
It's more about learning to observe those thoughts without getting carried away by them.
Exactly. And you might be surprised at how even just a few minutes of mindfulness each day can have this ripple effect on your overall well-being. It can help you feel calmer, more centered, more present in your life.
It sounds like we're talking about building a mental muscle.
Yeah.
The more you practice mindfulness, the stronger your spiritual intelligence becomes.
That's a great way to put it. And there are so many different ways to bring mindfulness into your life. You can explore guided meditations, walking meditations, even mindful eating.
Mindful eating, that one has me curious.
Yeah.
What exactly does that involve? Does it mean I have to give up my favorite snacks?
Not at all. Mindful eating is just about bringing your full attention to the experience of eating.
Good.
Noticing the flavors, the textures, the smells, even how your body feels as you eat. It's about slowing down and savoring your food rather than just mindlessly scarfing it down.
That actually sounds really enjoyable. I'm all about savoring delicious food.
Good.
Okay, so mindfulness is one path to cultivating spiritual intelligence. What are some other practices we could explore?
Another powerful practice is journaling.
Journaling.
Yeah, it can be a really great way to process your thoughts and emotions, connect with your inner wisdom, and gain clarity on your values and purpose. All things that link back to those 10 dimensions we discussed.
I used to keep a diary when I was younger, but I haven't done it in years. It seems like people are rediscovering journaling these days.
Yeah, right.
And I could see how it could be really helpful for self-reflection.
It is.
If I were to start journaling again, what kinds of things should I be writing about?
There are no hard and fast rules. You can write about whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
Your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, challenges, your facing insights. You've had anything goes.
Okay.
The key is to just be honest with yourself and write from your heart.
So it's like having a conversation with myself on paper.
Exactly. And sometimes those conversations with ourselves can be the most insightful and transformative ones we have.
Right.
You might be surprised at what emerges when you just put pen to paper.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm going to dust off my old journal and give it a try.
Okay.
Mindfulness and journaling, those are two great tools for boosting our spiritual intelligence. What other practices might help us strengthen those different dimensions?
engaging in acts of service can be incredibly powerful.
Acts of service. Okay.
When we help others, we tap into our compassion, our empathy, our sense of interconnectedness.
I can see how this connects back to that dimension of compassion and altruism we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just feel sympathy. We have to actually take action and do something to make a difference.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be anything grand or heroic. It could be as simple as helping an elderly neighbor carry their groceries or volunteering at a local charity.
Okay.
Or even just offering a listening ear to a friend who's going through a tough time. Even those small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect, creating positive change that extends far beyond ourselves.
I love that reminder that we all have the power to make a positive impact, even in small ways.
We do.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together and we have a responsibility to support each other. Plus, doesn't it also just feel good to help others?
It absolutely does. Studies have shown that acts of kindness can boost our mood, reduce stress, and increase our overall sense of happiness and well-being.
So it's a win-win.
It is.
We get to make a difference in the world and feel good while doing it. I'm really starting to see how all these practices connect back to those different dimensions of spiritual intelligence. It's like they're all pieces of the same puzzle working together to create a more complete picture.
You're exactly right. And the more we cultivate these practices, mindfulness, journaling, acts of service, the more we strengthen our spiritual intelligence and the more we experience those positive benefits in all areas of our lives.
This has been so insightful. I'm feeling inspired to take my own spiritual intelligence to the next level.
Good.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are some final thoughts you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that developing spiritual intelligence, it's a journey, not a destination. It's about ongoing growth, awareness, and connection.
Okay.
It's about cultivating those qualities that help us live more meaningful, purposeful, and fulfilling lives.
Beautifully said. So where do we go from here? What can our listeners do to continue this exploration on their own? So all this talk about spiritual intelligence has really got me thinking, what are some things our listeners can do to start exploring these ideas, maybe strengthen their own skew?
Well, a good starting point might be to just revisit those 10 dimensions we talked about.
Okay.
And maybe pick one or two that really resonate with you and focus on developing those a bit further.
Yeah.
There are tons of books and articles, even online resources that can help you dive deeper into each of these dimensions.
That makes sense. It can feel kind of overwhelming to think about tackling all 10 at once.
Right.
But if we break it down into smaller steps, it feels a lot more manageable.
Exactly. And remember, there's no one right way to go about this.
Right.
It's about finding what works for you and what fits into your life.
Okay.
Maybe you try out a meditation app to explore mindfulness, or you sign up for a yoga class that kind of incorporates some of these principles. You could even look for volunteer opportunities in your community that align with your values.
Yeah, those are all great ideas. It's about experimenting and seeing what clicks for you personally.
Right.
And like we were saying before, even small steps can make a big difference.
They can.
You don't have to completely overhaul your life to start cultivating your spiritual intelligence.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself.
Becoming more fully yourself. I love that.
Yeah.
This whole conversation has really got me thinking, if you could choose one dimension of your own spiritual intelligence to focus on and enhance, which one would it be and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. They're all so interconnected, it's hard to choose just one.
I know, right?
But if I had to pick, I think I would focus on deepening my sense of mystery and wonder.
Okay.
We talked about how the world is full of so much beauty and mystery, and I really want to approach it all with that sense of awe and curiosity. It's like cultivating that childlike sense of wonder that we often lose as we get older.
Right.
It's about remembering to see the world through fresh eyes, even the everyday things.
That's a great choice. I think I might choose that one too.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the routine of daily life and just forget to appreciate the magic that's all around us.
It really is. And that openness to the unknown can lead to so much growth and discovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to embark on your own spiritual intelligence journey.
Yes.
It might sound kind of daunting at first, but remember, it's all about taking small steps and discovering what works best for you.
One step at a time.
Who knows, maybe by tapping into our skew, we can unlock not just personal growth, but a better world too.
I absolutely believe that's possible. Imagine a world where people are guided by compassion, purpose, and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
A world where we're more connected to ourselves, to each other, and to the planet.
That's a beautiful vision, and I think it all starts with each of us cultivating our own spiritual intelligence.
It does.
So let's get out there and make it happen.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into spiritual intelligence. Until next time, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep shining your light.